Okay, so welcome to NADF Wednesday's webinar series. I'm Charlton Thompson. There are many topics when it comes to credit. There's such as credit reports, credit scores, debt management, cybersecurity, fraud and identity theft, and so on. So there's many topics, but today will be centered on collections, how to avoid it, and how to take charge of your financial health. But first, a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Toronto. I moved to my home community of Rocky Bay when I was a teenager. After living there for a couple of years, I ended up moving to Thunder Bay to go to school. I've always thought I'd move back to Toronto someday, but every time I go back to Toronto for a visit, I'm glad it's just a visit. There's just way too many people, and all of them always seem to be in a rush. And besides, Thunder Bay has most everything that a major city does, and the great outdoors, and my home community is just a short drive away. So after I completed school, I worked for eight years as a First Nation administrator for a First Nation 3 hours north of Thunder Bay here. I know firsthand of the challenges that First Nations face on a daily basis. I then moved over to NADF. I started off as a collections officer. I spent several years developing our collection program and cleaning up most of the accounts in arrears. 24 years later, I'm still here, and I'm now the senior account manager. My primary role now is to assess applications for loan and grant financing. Personally, my first exposure to credit was when I first tried to buy a car after I got out of school. I filled out the application, but I got declined. And at first, I just accepted it. Oh, well, I guess I just can't have a new car. But it bothered me not knowing why. After all, I had a job, I paid my rent and my bills on time. Why can't I have a car? We didn't have financial literacy courses in school when I was there, so I had to find out why on my own, why I was declined. I found out that I had no established credit history, and the rent and bills that I paid on time every time didn't count towards the credit score. So I learned how to establish and build my credit so that I could get approved. I started with a low limit secured credit card, used it like a regular credit card. I put $350 down that time, and I used it like a regular credit card, and paid it every month. That slowly built up my credit history, and to the point I was finally able to buy my first brand new truck on my own. But going back to my role as collections officer, I quickly learned that people do want to pay their bills. But for whatever reason, life happens and they can't. It could be a lost job, divorce, loss of loved one, or maybe business isn't just happening as planned and they just need a little help or advice. Collections isn't all doom and gloom. The information I'm sharing, I hope will help navigate through the situation if you or someone you know find themselves having to deal with collections. So let's jump in. Here are the topics that we're going to cover today. What is collections? Define what that is. What the long-term effects of collections are. Steps to prevent going to collections. Dealing with collectors, how to deal with collectors, what they can and what they can't do, and rebuilding your credit and taking charge. So the first thing is, what is collections? In finance, collections is the process of recovering money that is owed. This can involve various methods from friendly reminders, such as emails, letters, phone calls, to more serious actions. So your creditor could send your account to a third-party collector. They can take you to small claims court, garnish your wages, or even repossession. Just some examples. So imagine you have a lemonade stand. You sell a refreshing glass of lemonade to your friend who promises to pay you later. If they forget, you might need to remind them to pay you. Now, you might not send them emails and letters or even take them to the small claims court, but collection is the process of reminding them and ensuring that you get paid for providing that refreshing glass of lemonade to your friend. Or another example, if you own a business that allows sales on credit, they fill out a credit application and promise to make regular monthly payments. But as time passes, they fall behind or stop making payments altogether. Collection steps in to remind them, ensuring that you get paid what you're owed. In this case, you might use letters, phone calls, and if necessary, escalate to small claims court and such. So basically, collections is the process of recovering money that is owed. There are long-term effects with once you fall into a collection situation. There are two credit reporting agencies in Canada, Equifax and TransUnion. Some creditors report to both, some to one or the other, and some don't even report the credit to either one of them. NADF uses Equifax. But there are long-term effects from collections once you're in a collection situation. If you have been placed in collections, imagine your credit score as a report card for your financial responsibility. A debt in collections is like a big red mark on that report card. It could significantly lower your credit score, making it harder to borrow money or get favorable interest rates in the future. Negative information includes late or missed payments, accounts that have been sent to collection agencies, or even bankruptcies. Negative information about accounts such as credit cards and loans may stay on your credit report for up to 6 years. Credit checks by lenders. So if you apply for a loan to buy a car or for a credit card, the lender reports that to the credit agencies. Equifax keeps this information for 3 years, while TransUnion keeps it for 6 years. Bankruptcy. Equifax will remove a bankruptcy from your credit report after 6 years after you've been discharged. TransUnion removes a bankruptcy after 7 years. If you declare bankruptcy more than once, the bankruptcies will appear on your credit report for 14 years, so a long time. A judgment is a debt you owe through courts due to a lawsuit. For example, if somebody sues you through small claims or civil court and you lose, then that debt may show up on your credit report. Equifax keeps this on your credit report for 6 years, TransUnion for 7 years. A debt management plan is an informal process, formal proposal your credit counselor makes to your creditors on your behalf. It allows you to consolidate your debts into one affordable monthly payment. Credit bureaus remove all records from a debt management plan from your credit report 2 years after you pay off all your debts. Consumer proposals. A consumer proposal is a legal agreement set up by a licensed insolvency trustee. A trustee creates a proposal for your creditors where they agree to let you pay off a percentage of your debt. Equifax and TransUnion remove consumer proposals from your credit report either 3 years after you pay off all your debts or 6 years after you sign the proposal, whichever is sooner. But on the other hand, so those were the negative things that stay on your credit reports, and they do stay there for a while. There is a positive side to it as well. Positive information stays on your credit report for a while as well. Positive information includes credit accounts that you've paid in full and have no negative history. The information may include the type of loan, the length of loan, and the initial amount of the loan. Active credit accounts that you paid remain on your Equifax credit report as long as the account is open. Closed accounts stay on your Equifax credit report for up to 10 years. TransUnion will keep a record of positive credit information for a period of 20 years. They'll keep the information no matter if the account is active or closed. So your positive stuff stays there a lot longer than the negative stuff. Going back to your report card, using your credit report as a report card. So paying off a debt in collections can positively impact your credit score. It's like turning that red mark on your credit report into a green one. So those are the long-term effects of collections. But there are steps you can take to avoid collections as well altogether. Collections isn't all doom and gloom. There is good news. There are steps you can take to prevent your debt from going to collections in the first place, even if you're already late on payments. Step one, the first step to preventing debt is going to collections is to understand the process. Understand that it is best to deal with your account arrears with your creditor before they send it to collections or a third-party collector. When you fall way behind on your payments, your creditor will eventually send your account to a collection agency. The collection agency will then attempt to collect the debt from you. Collection agencies have a number of ways to collect debts that include calling you and sending you letters, reporting the debt to the credit bureaus, and ultimately taking you to court to sue you for the debt. Step two, communicate with your creditors. This is huge. If you're struggling to make payments, the first thing you should do is communicate with your creditors. Let them know your situation and see if they're willing to work with you on a payment plan. Many creditors are willing to work with borrowers who are making a good effort to repay their debts. 99% of creditors will work with you. Actually, any business that you owe money to, including utilities such as gas and hydro. If you miss a payment and you're going to be late or miss another payment, call them to let them know. But once you make any arrangements, keep to them. Always have a plan to catch up. Step three, if you're overwhelmed with your debt, consider getting help from a credit counselor. There are credit counselors here in Thunder Bay, and I'm sure they have them in your area if you do an internet search. Make sure they are accredited. They are usually a nonprofit organization. Be aware of those that offer to correct your credit scores and stuff like that for a fee. Be wary of those ones. A credit counselor can help you create a budget, negotiate with creditors on your behalf, and develop a plan to pay off your debt. Step four, take advantage of any debt relief programs. There are a number of them available that can help you to get out of debt. Some of my options you can look into are debt consolidation loans. This is a process of negotiation. These loans allow you to combine your debt into a single loan with a lower interest rate. There's also debt settlement. I talked about communicating with your creditors. This is the process of negotiating with your creditors to reduce the amount of debt that you owe. And if things are really bad, you can also explore bankruptcy. This is a legal process that allows you to discharge your debts. Some additional tips for preventing debt from going to collections. Pretty simple and straightforward. Make your payments on time, even if it's just a small amount. Something is better than nothing, but you have to make plans to catch up if you're still in arrears. Set up automatic payments so you never forget to make a payment. I use my phone to remind me when my payments are due. Keep track of your spending and budget carefully. Make a budget, know how much money you have coming in, estimate what your bills are, maintain a budget, avoid taking on new debt unless it's absolutely necessary. And if you're struggling with payments, I can't say this enough, but contact your creditors immediately. They may be able to help. Dealing with debt collectors can be fun. Know that they are people just like you or me with a job to do. If you do get a cranky one, maybe they were on a phone call prior to speaking with you or whatever. And yeah, that's just the mood that they're in, but they're people just like me and you. When you're having debt trouble, you might not feel like talking to your creditors, but dealing with them sooner rather than later will help keep things from getting worse. Communicating with those you owe money to might seem scary, but in the end, gaining their cooperation is key to successfully managing your debt. By helping your creditors understanding your situation, they will know what to expect from you and can even make it easier for you to find a solution that works for you. So communication is the key to success. If you're already late on payments, don't ignore your creditors. The longer you wait, the worse the situation will become. Be honest with your creditors about your financial situation. Don't make promises to them that you'll make a double payment if you're not sure that you can really do it. They're more than likely to work with you if they know that you're trying to repay your debts. Don't be afraid to negotiate with your creditors. They may be willing to reduce the amount of debt that you owe or set up a payment plan that works for you. Keep a record of all your communications with your creditors. This will help you protect yourself if there are any problems down the road. You can bet that they are keeping notes, especially about payment arrangements, and especially if you're abusive to them. So be polite. By following these tips, you can prevent your debt from going to collections and protect your credit score. Some additional information about when they can contact you. A debt collector can only contact you Monday through Saturday between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. Sundays between 1 and 5 p.m. A debt collector cannot contact you on holidays. So Good Friday and Easter Monday coming up, they can't call people on those days. Some things that debt collector can't do. So suggest to your friends and employer, relatives or neighbors that they should pay your debt on your behalf. They can only do that unless those people have co-signed your loan. They can't use threatening, intimidating, or abusive language, so they can't call you names or threaten you with jail time or intimidate you in any way. They can't apply excessive or unreasonable pressure on you to pay the debt. They can't misrepresent the situation or give false or misleading information. They can't call you on your cell phone unless you provided that number as a way to contact you. A debt collection agency can't add any collection-related costs to the amount you owe other than legal fees and fees for non-sufficient funds on payments that you submitted. If you do have a complaint about a collection agency, contact the Consumer Affairs Office, which is, if you do an internet search of Consumer Protection Ontario, Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery, the contact information is there. So rebuilding credit and taking charge. Past money mistakes can have an impact on our credit score and bring down your chances of qualifying for a loan or getting a good interest rate. But the good news is, with some time and perseverance, it is possible to rebuild your credit. Time heals all wounds as long as you work at it. Most of us have harmed our credit history and score without even knowing it. If you ever used over 50% of your credit card limit, made late payments, or didn't pay at least the minimum balance on your debts, or maxed out your credit card, these seemingly minor acts can bring down your credit score. There are different ways you can harm your credit history, but there are just as many ways to correct it also. Here are 5 steps that you can start taking. So the first step is check your credit report. In repairing your credit is determining the areas that need improvement. And getting a copy of your credit report is the best way to go about it. Do you have a lot of late or missed payments? Is your debt utilization too high? Or was there something more serious, like a bankruptcy? All of these factors can lower your credit score. And your credit report is where you can see where you went wrong. Once you've identified the reason behind your low credit score, you'll be in a better position to take action. It's also important to check your credit report for any errors or fraudulent accounts, or these errors can bring your credit score down also. If you discover something wrong on your credit report, bring it to the attention of the creditors so they can fix the problem and revise what they are reporting. You're entitled to a free copy of your credit report from each of the credit bureaus, Equifax and TransUnion, once a year. Each credit bureau may have different information about your credit history on file, so it's a good idea to get a copy of your report from both agencies. Visit their websites for more information on how to get your free credit report. I know banks and credit cards provide credit reports and scores with their products, but for me personally, I prefer to get my information directly from the source. Step 2, make arrangements to bring your accounts up to date and pay down your debt. Your payment history is the largest factor affecting your credit score. So if you've been behind on your payments, or you haven't been making your payments on time, your credit situation likely won't improve much unless you get your accounts up to date. If you're in a tough spot and you can't afford to bring your delinquent accounts up to date at once, contact your creditors. I keep on mentioning this, talk to your creditors to see if you can negotiate a payment arrangement that works best with your budget. Or you may want to contact a credit counselor. In addition to getting your accounts up to date, paying down your debt is also a key part of building credit. The amount of debt you have owing in relation to the available credit you have, known as credit utilization, is the second most important factor on your credit score. Let's say you have a credit limit of $10,000 and you're using $7,500. Your credit utilization then is 75%. If you're using a good chunk of your available credit, it can have a negative impact on your credit score. So it's important to pay down as much of your debt as you can. Ideally, you want to get your credit utilization down to under 50%. 35% or less is the very best though. For every debt you pay down, your credit utilization will decrease, which will help with your overall credit score. If you use more than 75% of your credit card, line of credit, or overdraft, this will have a significant negative impact on your credit score until the balance is paid. Step 3, rebuild credit with a secured credit card, how I did when I first started out. So once you've developed a plan to tackle your debts and get your payments up to date, the next step is to build a consistent payment history. An important part of building credit is demonstrating that you can pay back the money you borrowed and prove to creditors that you can responsibly manage debt. A secured credit card functions like any other unsecured credit card, in that you'll have access to credit and your payment information will get reported to the credit bureau each month. But unlike other credit cards, you will need to provide a security deposit as a form of collateral before you can use the card. The amounts can range anywhere from $100 to $500 or more. The deposit assures creditors that you will indeed pay back the money you borrow. When you use your secured credit card to make a purchase, those purchases are not deducted from your security deposit. Instead, you'll be expected to repay that amount to the credit card company as you would if it was a regular unsecured credit card. How you use your secured credit card will affect your credit score as it shows your creditors whether you can handle credit responsibly. So it's important to make mindful, essential purchases you know that you can pay off. After 6 months or a year of making steady payments and staying within your balance, you can ask if your secured credit card can be upgraded. A lot of times the secured credit card companies will upgrade you on their own and apply your deposited funds towards your they'll either refund it to you or apply it to your credit card. Using credit cards to rebuild your credit is a great tool to use. However, it's important to keep in mind that having any sort of credit card isn't an excuse to free up more money so you can buy things that you can't realistically afford. Step 4, make at least the minimum payment by the due date. As you work towards building your credit history, it's critical that you make your payments on time. And this goes for utility bills as well. I know I said utility bills don't get reported to credit card companies, but they will if they go to collections. So keep your utility bills up to date. A missed utility payment that is way past due or an outstanding cell phone bill that gets sent to collections can get reported to the credit bureaus. So it's important that you start establishing a reliable payment history by paying at least the minimum payment on all your bills by the due date. At the very least, you want to avoid missing payments or constantly making late payments. To ensure you consistently make your payments on time, set up reminders either on your desktop computer, your phone, or even on a calendar. If you aren't able to pay your balance off in full every month, make at least the minimum payment on each of your debts by the due date. Another thing that could help is setting up automatic bill payments so that each of your bills are paid automatically each month. This way, you'll never miss a payment. There are, however, 2 potential drawbacks to automatic payments. You need to make sure you have money in your account when the automatic payment is scheduled to take place. If you set up the automatic payment yourself on internet banking, nothing will happen if there isn't enough money in your account, and it'll just end up as a missed payment. If the bank or someone else has set up the payment, it could overdraw your account if you don't have enough funds on hand, and the result could be an NSF fee. However, you can also apply for a line of credit on your account, and if it's not maxed out, that shouldn't be a problem then. Keep good financial habits. So step 5, develop smart spending and saving habits are crucial to rebuilding your credit score. And one of the best ways to do this is to create a budget that accurately reflects how much you earn and how much you have to spend. With a budget, you'll know how to live within your means and you'll be able to manage your money better. A budget is a spending plan for your money. By giving every dollar a job, you'll be able to determine in advance whether you'll have enough money to cover all your expenses. And if you don't have enough money to cover all your expenses, you can use your budget to prioritize your spending and focus your money on areas that are most important to you. Another good financial habit to adopt is learning how to live economically. Living economically is more than just pinching nickels and dimes. and depriving yourself of things that bring you joy just so that you could save a few bucks. Instead, it's about making mindful choices so you'll be able to comfortably live within your means. By living within your means, you'll be able to pay off your debt and rebuild your credit faster so you can enjoy the small and big joys in life. So before questions, this is the last slide here. After working for a First Nation for so many years, I was ready for a new challenge. NADF was looking for a collections officer. I thought, what could be more challenging than that? But what really drew me to NADF was that during my interview, they told me whoever they hired, that person would be responsible for developing the loan recovery program for NADF. I knew I didn't want to be that irritating voice on the phone demanding money or mailing out tons of letters that just end up in the garbage or sending out email after email that just gets ignored. I based my collection activities on mutual respect and communication. If they were open and honest with me, I would do the same. I didn't want to add more stress to somebody who is already in a stressful situation. I wanted to find out why they couldn't make their payments and see what I could do to help. And that's what I love about working for NADF. We are a flexible organization and will do what we can to assist Indigenous entrepreneurs. My rewards came when that client who was in arrears, stressed out about paying their bills, finally made their final payment. I enjoyed working with clients who are in arrears, and I got satisfaction out of helping them make their payments. But the key for me to help them was communication. First, they had to be willing to talk to me. If I called them or sent them a letter or an email to initiate contact, they had to be willing to talk to me. They had to be honest about their situation. Like I said, there's a number. Life happens, and things happen that emergency situations happens where you can't pay your bills. But talking to your creditors, they're willing to help. Getting something is better than nothing. And when clients were honest about their situation with me, from there, we developed mutually satisfactory solutions that can work for them and NADF. And with that, I'll open up to questions. If after this section you think of some questions that you don't think of right now, feel free to email me. My email address is right on the screen there, C. Thompson. It's my first initial, last name, @nadf.org.